Welcome to Pop Cult, where we talk reality TV, celebrity chaos, and pop culture throwbacks. Welcome to Pop Cult. We are your hosts. I'm Avery.
And I'm Julia.
And we post 2 episodes every week. Tuesdays are for Reality Digest, where we cover the previous week's reality TV moments and latest celebrity chaos. And Thursdays are for the Fame Files, where we revisit defining stories throughout pop culture history. And today we are doing another Fame Files episode. This one is about a little bit of a different topic than our previous episodes. It's about the recording of the song We Are the World back in the 1980s. And the reason that I came up with this one is because I was having a conversation with my parents. I feel like it was several months ago, maybe it was even a year ago, about this event, and I had no idea what it was. I think I had maybe heard the song before, but this really is like a very iconic pop culture moment, something that would probably like never happen today. So I'm excited to talk about it. After I decided to do this episode, I realized that there was a documentary that had literally like just come out on Netflix called, I think it's called The Greatest Night in Pop or something like that. I'll put it in the description probably, but it has Lionel Richie in it and some other like pretty major players in this event. So I talk about events from it a little bit, but it's way more in-depth and there's actually a lot of celebrities in it. So I would recommend giving it a watch if anyone's interested. The only other thing I'll say before we jump in is that we are slowly getting our socials and everything set up. And so we now have an Instagram. It's Pop Cult Podcast with periods in between the words, and we're gonna work on TikTok this next week. So we have a phobia of putting our faces on the internet, so we're just trying to come up with some other solutions, but we might eventually have to cave.
We're doing our best. I won't be caving anytime soon. Not until Avery expenses glam to me.
With what expense? What expenses do we have?
I don't know,
but yeah, we're just trying to come up with creative solutions, and we don't really want this podcast to be about us, more so the content anyways. I have a love-hate relationship with how visual podcasts have become because that's like the point. It's a podcast.
Mm-hmm. You're supposed to just listen.
You're supposed to listen. But I also enjoy... Don't worry about spam.
He gets fed twice a day. Sunlight on the weekend.
My
thing is like, I work very hands-on, so I am never watching the podcast that I'm listening to. I appreciate that. I like that I don't have to like sit down and watch it like a TV show. Like I could just have it on in my little headphones while I'm working.
I agree. We need to bring back podcasts as an audio format only, in my opinion, because it's a lot of pressure to have to do.
Preach, and you have to have a whole like little studio set up with like a chair
and lighting. You can't sit in the dark like I do. My lights are always on the lowest dim setting.
Yeah, I couldn't see the whole weekend I was with you.
Yeah, Julia visited me last weekend and it was so fun. Even though it was rainy, we still had fun.
Yes, we did.
And we had good food. Oh, and we got a free meal. Tell them about our free meal.
Guys, I think I'm made for Vegas. Genuinely.
Get this girl to Vegas.
Get me to Vegas. I think I could win some stuff. Or just win, period. Put me in the Lotus Hotel. That was a Percy Jackson reference. Anyways. So Avery and I went to this place for lunch. And it's like a very popular like steakhouse, but for lunch they do like burgers and stuff. And we just found ourselves there. And at the end of the meal, he comes over and he's like, here's your bill. And then he's like, but we have a thing where if you're here before 7 p.m., you can try to roll for 7s and your entire meal is free. And Avery puts me completely on the spot.
Well, he was like, who wants to roll? And I just, for some reason, I had a feeling that you would get it. I definitely wouldn't have, but I had a feeling you would.
So he wouldn't let me touch the dice. I guess that's like a thing. And he was like, I can show them to you, but you just have to, like, he gave it to me in a little cup. And like we had a little square thingy that I throw them into. And I didn't even think about it. I like spent no time thinking about it. Threw it out. Rolled a 5 and a 2. What does that add up to? 7.
Lucky number 7.
7. So yeah, I won Avery and I a free meal, and I'll never let anybody forget it. I'll never live it down. It was the best fee I've ever had in my entire life. And what's annoying is the bill wasn't even that expensive.
I know. It was going to actually be by New York City standards, like pretty inexpensive because this particular restaurant has, they call it an adult Happy Meal, and it's like a burger, fries, and an alcoholic drink, all for $27, which anyone who's ever been here and gone to any restaurant in this entire city knows that if you're getting a drink, it's going to cost you probably minimum $20 at this point. So, I mean, the drink alone would have cost almost 100% of the entire meal. So that was an exciting moment. And then we went to a little bar after and then celebrated because we just got a free meal.
For real.
And spent more money.
Hey, well, we made money. Girl math.
I know. I mean, honestly, I was feeling like a winner. But yeah, that's what's been going on. We're still working on our audio and that kind of thing, so just...
I better sound crystal clear for what I've been through recently.
I know. We've really been going through it. I'm not necessarily, like, I don't know a whole ton about audio. I'm better with the video stuff, so, like, I just need someone to invent a better podcast software, to be honest. Riverside is giving us a hell of a time if they hear this. Step up your game. Also, somebody is literally playing the saxophone. I can hear it. It's very
I can't
faint.
hear it.
Okay. If anyone can hear it, sorry. Like, what are we doing?
Enjoy the behind the scenes.
I know.
The background music.
I know. It's like, it would be nice if I weren't doing this. Of all things. But let's go ahead and get into it. This one is a more feel-good story.
Good. I'm tired of being depressed, Avery.
Okay, only the gin shot was depressing.
I was upset by Jen and Brad. It still affects me.
Mean, I know, but like at least they're both like happy now.
Yeah, that's fair.
And they both did get married again, so.
And I'm pretty sure Jen actively has a significant other.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, wait, did you want to do an update on that?
Well, my mother politely corrected us in saying, by the way, Jennifer Aniston has a boyfriend, but I don't know who it is. She totally said who it was.
Maybe she said it was a director or something?
Yeah. Hold on. Jim Curtis, a hypnotist, an author, and a wellness coach. They've been together since July 2025.
So not very long.
New development. Thank you, Amy.
I know. My mom, she wanted to let me know that she could have added many comments in about things that she remembers happening during the time of their relationship, specifically things about Angelina Jolie.
What they should do is just start their own dang podcast.
I know.
And get their opinions out of our way.
That being said, we're open to any and all feedback.
Oh my god.
Just maybe...
This is a test for us if they listen to this episode or not.
They definitely do. They definitely will listen. But this episode, like I mentioned just a second ago, is about the recording of the song We Are the World, which a little bit of an overview before I get into the nitty-gritty details it was a fundraiser. This making of this song was a fundraiser for the hunger crisis in Africa. So that's just a little bit of a heads up. If you're like, why are we talking about this? Like, artists record songs every day. Correct. You would be correct about that. But not... Yeah,
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, what?
I don't know anything about this.
Yeah. Many artists record many songs every day, but not 40 of the most famous artists in the same studio on the same exact night recording the same song. That's what's kind of novel about this. So let's get into it. On the night of January 28th, 1985, the night of the 12th Annual American Music Awards, also known as the AMAs, all of the most relevant musicians of the time came together to record the song We Are the World to raise money for the organization USA for Africa. It all began after musician Harry Belafonte had visited Africa the previous year and witnessed the suffering, and upon his return he was vocal about the famine and hunger crisis and wanted to do a concert to raise money. This was interesting to me because it kind of makes me wonder what all of the sudden, because he's not the only celebrity who kind of like started to know, like, I guess came face to face with the hunger famine that Africa was experiencing. Like it kind of makes me wonder like what like, do you think that it was just suddenly being televised, or it's weird to me that all of a sudden this is like a big hot button issue.
I don't know, maybe he just had more pull than other people who might want to have wanted to do something. He was just a little bit more famous, a little bit more well known.
Yeah, it's also, we'll get into it a little bit too, but it's important to note that he's a Black artist, and so that was a huge point of like the process of making this song in the first place, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. He was inspired by the 1984 benefit concert Band-Aid, where the song Do They Know It's Christmas was performed and later recorded by a group of artists from the UK to raise money for the famine in Ethiopia. Harry thought that it was important to bring Black artists of the time together to record something for this cause. I believe his direct quote was something along the lines of, "We have to help our own people," referring to the Black community of artists at the time in regard to the communities in Africa that needed help. He, along with music manager and producer Ken Cragen, came together to spearhead this operation. Ken Cragen, who I was not familiar with, but he owned a talent company at the time called Cragen and Company, and he had a great reputation and was very well known in the music industry. And he actually just died a few years ago in September 2021.
And you said this was a happy episode?
Okay, well, I mean, you knew it was recorded. You knew that they made it in 1985, so.
Yeah. They could all still be alive.
I mean, a bunch of them are. Just a few of them are not.
Okay.
I think. I didn't look into their lifespans, every single one of them. But he was very well known for his involvement in the recording of this song throughout the rest of his life and the rest of his career. So those are kind of our initial players in this scenario. A little bit of background on what USA for Africa actually is. It is the organization that's attached to this event, and it actually stands for not the United States of America for Africa, which is what I thought it stood for. It stands for United Support of Artists for Africa, which feels confusing.
That threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting that.
That was a curveball for sure. This organization was established in 1985. Pretty much like the idea for the song was the catalyst for the creation of the organization and not the other way around. I was kind of thinking that this is something that already existed, but I guess maybe they thought it would be better to put a institution behind the idea. They wanted to be able to attach it to a tangible cause, essentially. Since its inception and release, it has raised over $100 million, with We Are the World alone generating $75 million of that. Wow. So that's a lot of money. Along with Harry Belafonte and Ken Cragen, there were a few other major players that you'll likely be familiar with that were heavily involved in the creation of this song and also the production leading up to the recording. The original idea was that it would only be Black artists of the time, and those artists were the initial few that he reached out to were Lionel Richie, who's obviously a very famous award-winning musician in the 70s and 80s and is still extremely well-known today. He has won many Grammys and is also in the Songwriters Hall of Fame and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Another artist was Michael Jackson, who obviously needs no introduction, but he was kind of like at the height of his fame in the 80s. Maybe some people would disagree with that. I don't know. Our moms will probably call me out on that one too. But he is widely referred to as the king of pop and had a massive influence on the music industry for Black musicians in particular. Stevie Wonder was the third, who, again, we all know who that is, but he was fluent in all things music by the age of 8, which I thought was a fun little fact when I was kind of looking into him. He was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and received a Grammy for Lifetime Achievement, along with many other awards throughout his career. And the last of the four, the only one that I wasn't familiar with, is a man named Quincy Jones. He actually just recently okay, don't get mad at me. He just recently passed away in November.
How dare you?
Rest in peace. He was a performer, a musical arranger, a composer, but from the research that I did, he most notably was a producer, a music producer. He produced two of Michael Jackson's albums, produced the movie The Color Purple, and also produced the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Sick. I love The Color Purple.
I know. Well, and I mean, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like...
Well, that's a given.
That's crazy. He has won over 25 Grammys and has won countless other awards and recognitions. Obviously, there's much more to all these people's careers, but that's just a brief overview to kind of familiarize everyone with these people, because they're basically the reason why this happened in the first place. Harry and Ken asked Lionel Richie to write the song and for Quincy Jones to produce, and then the two of them together asked Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder to co-write. While the original thought was that this would be the most famous black artist of the time, Ken Cragen suggested to Harry Belafonte that they should expand, encouraging him to utilize the large bank of artists that they both had access to, which is just wild. Once we get into like who they're calling, it's just crazy to think that they just like have each other's phone numbers, you know?
Well, why don't you just call Taylor up?
What would happen if you just called Taylor up?
Just call Taylor up.
And now that I'm saying that out loud, like, what were they calling each other on?
Avery. There were phones.
I know, but like, what kind of phone?
Like
a wall phone?
Yeah, like the ones that came out of the wall. And they had pagers.
Pagers.
The one that grew in houses, obviously.
Yeah, the one that they put a seed in the wall and then it just sprouts one day. Okay, sure. They were calling each other up on their wall phones.
Yep.
So they had these 5 major players: Harry, Lionel, Michael, Stevie, and Quincy, because I'm on a first name basis, because all their names are really long and it's tiresome to read them all out. So we're gonna go with first names. But the question was, even if they were to get these artists to participate, how would they all get them to be in the same place? Everyone's busy, people might be on tours. Some artists, I mean, we all know, like, artists are divas. Like, sometimes they don't want to be in spaces with a lot of people because they feel like they're too famous for it or something. So,
I mean, that's a great question. I can only imagine, like, all of these people are so famous, so busy. Most likely they're all touring. They're all in different states at the same time. Like, it's a feat to be reckoned with for sure.
Right. And I think in the context of the time period, I mean, not to say that musicians still don't act like this, but I feel like it was very different in the sense that everyone was like, famous musicians like this were like partying all the time, like incredibly hard to get to adhere to a schedule. Probably.
Well, if they didn't have access to their wall phone, then how were they gonna?
I know. What if they just weren't home?
What if they weren't home? And that is where you get introduced to the concept of a voicemail. But how?
I know.
What if your voicemail box is full?
I mean, how do you even have a voicemail box on a wall phone?
Avery, I don't know.
These are all questions we need somebody to answer.
I think you just had to be there when the phone rang, and if not, you were like shit out of luck.
Or maybe they had, I will say, I think probably a lot of them had managers that they got in contact with, too.
When was the first cell phone?
I think it was like in the 90s.
73.
Seriously?
I'm so serious. The first handheld mobile phone was in 1973, but no way was it at all obtainable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that was few and far between did people have the first ever cell phone.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Because it was like a
if anybody...
computer. Like, they were invented a long time ago, but like not available to the common people.
That's so true.
They took up like a factory to have.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah, I know. I would love to know who of these artists had a cell phone.
Yeah, if they could just let us know, that would be great.
I know. If some of them could just roll over in their graves and send us a note.
I mean, like, show up in a dream tonight of one of ours and just like let us.
But regardless, the question is still, how do we get all these people's schedules to align? Even if we can reach them on their mobile phones, how do we get their schedules to align? At the same time, Lionel Richie is asked to host the 1985 American Music Awards, and they realized that basically everyone they needed would be attending the AMAs and would be there at the same time on the same night, probably for the only time ever for at least another year.
Yeah, no. I mean, that makes complete sense. They're probably all up for an award.
I know, like, genius, honestly. Some of the artists involved, and I'll drop the names of several more later, but just a few for right now. Bob Dylan was one of the main ones that they really wanted because he would often sing about worldwide issues. Kenny Rogers, Cyndi Lauper, Diana Ross, and Ray Charles. There were a few artists that couldn't attend because they were on tour, like Van Halen and David Byrne, and they thought Bruce Springsteen, who was really in the height of his career at this point, was definitely a no-go because he was finishing up a tour the night before the AMAs, and his manager said that he doesn't fly the night after a show. Diva. diva behavior, and that he wasn't going to be attending the AMAs, but he was convinced to participate because of the cause. So, good guy.
I just watched, oh my god, what's his name? The guy who's playing Bruce Springsteen in the movie that's supposed to come out about him. Yes, Jeremy Allen White. I just watched him on Hot Ones today, and just the way he spoke about the movie, I'm actually really excited to see it. And I don't typically, like, I didn't go see the Bob Dylan movie. Like, that stuff doesn't really interest me, but I'm excited to go see it now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it too. I love movies about, like, artists' stories. I think they're so good. Like, the Queen one was amazing. The Whitney Houston one was really good. I'm trying to think of others.
I haven't seen any of those.
Oh my gosh. Anywho, his manager said he doesn't fly the night after a show and wasn't going to be attending the AMAs, but he was convinced to participate because of the cause. A major reason why they were able to get so many artists is because Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson called them and asked them personally.
Imagine that.
Phones, allegedly.
Imagine what you pick up the phone. You're like, hello.
Yeah, because there was no caller ID, that's for sure.
And it's Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson. And then you go like, who?
Michael who?
Because, like, why would you believe that it was who they were saying they were? That's so funny.
Once they nailed down who was participating, they basically had 10 days to write the song from the time that they found out truly how many musicians were participating. Michael Jackson came up with the concept and eventual title of We Are the World, and at Lionshare Studios, a few days before the actual recording, the core four met and ran through the song to see if it was working. The next night, Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie recorded the final demo with a drummer, pianist, and bassist so they could give it to the artist beforehand, and then they sent out the demo. This made me laugh. I don't know why, but they sent the demo out on cassette tapes.
What did you think they were going to send them out on? An iPod Touch?
Like, I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it. But they sent these cassette tapes out before the AMAs too. Either the artists or their managers. So now they have the song written, they have the demo recorded, things are falling into place, but then they had to find a studio. Like, where do you record this? You're gonna have, like, that many people in a studio, like, they're not that big. Normally, when you would do something like this, each artist would go into a booth individually and record one by one, but because they only had this one night, the AMAs, we'll get to it, but the AMAs ended around, like, 9 p.m., and so, like, they're recording through the night. Like, they don't have time for, like, everybody to go in there individually. So Quincy Jones came up with the idea to place all of the mics in a circle around the room so they can all be, like, looking at each other and, like, invested in this together. Like, he was playing a lot of mind games, honestly. He was thinking about it from a psychological standpoint. But there were also concerns about controlling the situation and how it basically needs to be perfectly timed because of all of the logistics. They landed on a studio called A&M Studios after scouting basically every recording studio in the city of Los Angeles. They enlisted a well-known sound engineer, I'm not going to try and say his name because I don't know how, and a vocal arranger as well, who had both worked closely with Quincy Jones in the past. The vocal arranger and Quincy Jones literally had note cards with the names of all of the participating artists, like, laid out, and that's how they, like, worked out the arrangement, like, who's going to do a solo, and they were each singing the solo in their own style of music. So, like, if you think about it, like...
That's super complicated.
I know, and, like, if you think about it, like, Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen, like...
Very different.
Right. So the vocal arranger listened to all their music back to back and figured out how to layer them so that it didn't feel like such a stark shift between artists as they were going through this, like, long ring of all singing their solo verses. And it was really revolutionary for them to be seeing so many artists with such different sounds coming together. Some of the dynamics were going to be tricky to facilitate to make sure that everyone had everything that they wanted and needed. Like, I think this comes up later, but, like, a big issue is, like, honestly, ego. Like, all of these artists are extremely famous and they needed to have some sort of justification for why somebody has a solo and somebody doesn't, or why somebody's solo is longer than someone else's.
Can't we just record for
right,
the people?
Like, get your head out of your ass and just, this isn't about you.
It's not about you.
It's not about you. So the day of the actual recording, some of the celebrities were actually like all over the country. Stevie Wonder was in Philadelphia that afternoon, and Bruce Springsteen was in Buffalo, New York. I guess he was playing a show there, which seems really odd to me. Like, I don't know why you'd be playing a show in Buffalo. Like, that feels really random. But they were having a snowstorm because it was January. So, and he has one of the main solos. So they were like really worried that he wasn't going to make it back in time. And a little bit of the drama was really like probably the most drama out of this entire operation is that they were really trying hard to get Prince to participate. But the tricky thing about it was that at the time, him and Michael Jackson were up for many of the same awards at the AMAs. And there was generally just like a rivalry between the two of them. But the goal obviously was to make a statement of like, wow, even the two of them with all their beef could still come together for the common good. I'm sure that there's way more to that. I guess you could call it a feud. I don't know. Yeah. I tried to look into the details a little more and I just didn't find that much. Like, probably someone who lived during that era would know a bit better than me and what I was able to find. But in an attempt to get him to participate, they enlisted an independent artist named Sheila E., who was also Prince's drummer. She was performing at the AMAs that night, and they asked her to try and convince Prince to participate because I think they were involved with each other. Like, I think they had a relationship of some sort. Lionel Richie thought that if they asked her to ask him, then he might say yes. She basically said, I think he would do it, but he's going to do it on his own time.
Like, he wouldn't record with everybody at once.
Yeah, like, he didn't want to be, like, in the masses, I guess. And keep in mind, they've essentially, like, choreographed this entire event, relying on the fact that everyone would show up. And they had, at this time, they had accounted for Prince being there, because they were really hopeful.
Dang.
So, all while Lionel Richie is helping facilitate this, he's also preparing to host the AMAs, where he was performing twice that night during the show and actually ended up winning 6 awards.
I would have been stressed as hell.
I mean, talk about a multitasking king.
I mean, he probably never slept.
I know. I don't sleep. I don't eat.
He doesn't need it.
Literally. I mean, yeah. That's crazy. I feel like they don't do that anymore. Like, somebody hosting, like, a musician isn't going to be hosting the AMAs. A musician might host the Grammys, or an actor might host the AMAs, but they're not going to have someone who could be winning an award hosting. That's, like, that seems so weird to me now. But the ironic part about the Prince and Michael Jackson rivalry is that Prince's When Doves Cry won Favorite Black Single, and his album Prince and the Revolution won Favorite Black Album, which I believe that they were both nominated for the awards. But it's just kind of interesting that, like, his whole thing was that his rival was going to be participating, but then he won. So it's like, maybe he was nervous that if he lost, then he was going to show up to record this song and, like, be embarrassed that he lost. I don't know. But Michael Jackson wasn't even at the awards because he skipped to record a guide track for the song, like, once the artist arrived. He originally didn't even want to be on the song or in the video. He just wanted to write it, but he was convinced to participate. And speaking of the video, they released a TV movie in 1985 about the process and intent behind the song. It's called We Are the World, the story behind the song. And Jane Fonda is the narrator.
Beautiful.
I watched it. It was the oldest thing I've ever watched in my life.
Oh my God.
I think I found it either on YouTube or, like, Tubi or something.
Not Tubi.
Yes, Tubi. But for the purpose of the episode, I was like, I have to watch this, obviously. But yeah, they had basically a camera crew in this studio with them. Like, they were like, we're gonna document this, which I feel like was ambitious. That was an ambitious goal. There were over 150 crew members working on the sound and video production, and they recorded over 45 hours of footage from the few days prior, and when they were working on the song all the way through the entire setup of the soundstage. A fun fact, sucks for them, but not a single crew member got paid for this.
How is that legal? That's not okay.
Like, there were even some production crew members who tried to turn in their invoice to receive their payment at the end of the session. Either Quincy Jones or Ken Cragen were like, this is on a volunteer basis. And apparently they told them that, but maybe the word didn't get around.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a fundraiser, so I understand them not having, you know, I'm sure that the studio donated the space and everything like that too. But yeah, so they literally had cameramen that were in the studio recording this in video. Imagine being that cameraman. I would have passed out. That would have been so cool. So the AMAs are in full swing. They're setting everything up. Main people are getting everything set up in the studio. And one last little hitch that I thought was an interesting tidbit to include, and just like shows like I could never work with celebrities because what divas. During the AMAs, like literally Lionel Richie's in the middle of hosting this award show, and Cyndi Lauper comes up to him and says that she would no longer be able to record the song because she had her boyfriend listen to it and he doesn't think it's a hit.
Are we for real? Just like Prince, there's something larger at hand that they're trying to do.
Genuinely. Like, and that's what Lionel Richie told her. He essentially said that she needed to make the right decision because the point of this is not for this to be this massive individual hit. Like, this isn't supposed to like put you on the maps for like something that you did. This is like for a larger cause. I looked up because I was curious. Like, she in the TV movie and everything, like you can in the documentary you can see like she looks significantly younger than every other artist there. So I kind of wondered, I was like, because I don't really know a ton about her, like I don't know like how old she is now or anything, but I kind of wondered if maybe she was like in her like 20 or something, and maybe that's why she was acting that way. She was 31 when they recorded this, if I remember correctly. So for a second I was like, oh, maybe it's her age, but no, you're 31.
You can go record a song for charity. Thank you.
Immediately after the AMAs were over, the artists were told to go straight to the studio. The press did know about it. They knew that something was happening and maybe that something was being recorded, and they knew what it was called, but they didn't know the details. But there was some footage that I saw of a reporter asking Lionel Richie about it, and he was just like, we're super excited. But I think it was like they just didn't want... There definitely was like paparazzi there. I remember seeing clips of the artists like getting out of their cars and like there being camera flashes, but I think the idea was to keep the press away for the most part. And right before everyone arrived, Quincy had a crew member grab some paper for him, and he literally wrote on the paper, "Check your ego at the door," and hung it like a sign above the door.
Oh my god.
So that they could see it all as they were all coming in. He meant business. He was not there to play.
I'm just thinking about the fact that it's 9 p.m. Is it not bedtime? Like, what are we doing? Go to bed.
What are we doing?
9 p.m.
What?
Just 9 p.m. And then you're starting at 9. That's what it's getting me. They just did out a whole event, hungry. And now they're going to something new? No.
You're like one thing per day for me. Thank you.
Yeah, one thing sets off my whole day.
But nonetheless, they did start to arrive just after 9 p.m. The crew was communicating with walkie-talkies about who was arriving and when. And I thought this was kind of funny because this is not even something I would have thought about. But the artists were the only people allowed in the studio. So no assistants, no bodyguards, nobody allowed to have a posse with them, because apparently that's something celebrities do. I remember I was listening to a Call Her Daddy episode, the one with Riley Keough, and I remember at the beginning of the episode, Alex was like, you are like so easy to be around. Like, she was like, I never know how people are going to show up here. Usually they're late and they roll in with like this massive posse of people, and she was like, you showed up by yourself and half an hour early.
Well, I don't know if you listened to her most recent interview with Renee Rapp. Like she interviewed her a second time. Mm-hmm. And I think Renee had asked to come with like 9 people with her.
Oh my god, Renee is such a diva.
I love her so much.
I love her too, but she's a diva. She definitely would be showing up with a posse to the recording of We Are the World.
I think Alex asked her the last time she had been somewhere alone, and she's like, never.
I know, it's just so funny. Like, I'm always alone. I'm doing things alone by myself all the time. That sounds sad, but it's not, I promise. But yeah, I thought that was so endearing with Riley Keough. Like, she showed up early to her interview. Like, that's so cute.
It is cute.
I just love her. So yeah, they're completely alone in this studio, and it's kind of funny to think about because many of these artists are just meeting each other for the first time. Lionel Richie was mentioning in the documentary that it seemed as though everyone was like a bit timid, like as if, I think he even referenced like it felt like the first day of kindergarten.
That's
like
sweet.
Nobody knows anyone.
Yeah.
And I think my read on it was like, it's almost as if like when you've put the most famous people in music at the time all together in a room, like you've just leveled the playing field, and they're no longer the famous person in the room.
Yeah.
The most famous person in the room, as they probably usually are. I think we also think of these artists all knowing each other because of just being in the but obviously this was a very different time where social media and cell phones didn't exist, and I think that probably changed a lot of the dynamics. But I have to say, like, it's still pretty jarring to me when I see, I don't know, Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter in the same room, or Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan. Like, I don't know, it's just weird to see. Or that picture of at the Grammys or something, or I think it was the Grammys, of Chappell Roan and Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift is like whispering something into her ear.
My thought just goes to like the really famous Met Gala bathroom photos that has like the most random celebrities you've ever thought of in your life, like all in a selfie together that should have no relation, but they're in the bathroom together.
So true. That one with what was this? I think this was the Oscars.
Oh, with Ellen when she was the host. Yeah, that's like the most famous selfie like in the world.
With Jennifer Lawrence was in it. I don't even remember who else.
George Clooney.
Yes. But yeah, it's just funny to think about them like all in the same room. Like,
yeah.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey. Have you seen that? Oh my God, have you seen that video of, I don't know if this is the Met Gala or not, because I don't know what the hell Katy Perry was wearing, but she was wearing a hamburger. And she walks out of the bathroom and J-Lo is out there. And I swear to God, this is the Met Gala, but I don't know why she was wearing a hamburger outfit.
Let me look it up.
And she comes out of the bathroom and whoever's videoing is like, Katie, we gotta go. And Katie's like, okay. And she's like putting her hamburger back on while J-Lo's like fixing her makeup in the mirror wearing this like really nice outfit. And it's such a funny video.
I think I've seen that before. Okay, it was a 2019 Met Gala.
Why was she wearing a hamburger?
The theme was camp. I'm not sure that necessarily answers your question, but...
No, if it was an actual camp, like camping camp, and not what the theme of the Met Gala was, which was not like camping camp, then yes, it would make sense.
They should make the theme of the Met Gala food.
What do you want to show up wearing a cake?
What if somebody was like a cluster of grapes or something? Like, that would be actually hilarious. Or like a juice box and like their hat was like the straw. I think that would be funny. But yeah, definitely awkward dynamics before their start. And to get everyone like hyped up, Quincy Jones asked Bob Geldof, who I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, who was the mind behind Band-Aid, the initial charity event that inspired this. They asked him to give a short speech before they started, to contextualize what was really going on in Africa, because he had just returned from Ethiopia. Quincy Jones was hopeful that this would encourage everyone to lock in and keep the point of this at the forefront, because trust, they had a long night ahead of them. Also, I just have to say, I cannot, as someone who has been a witness to very, very minor shoots and productions in comparison to this, I cannot imagine the pressure on that crew to get it done in one night. Like, we have one shot only. It's literally one night only. And then you just have to run with it.
This would be my worst nightmare.
Yeah, it would, I mean, just insane. They started with the chorus, where the video footage that I saw, Quincy Jones was literally conducting them, singing in like an ensemble, while they're literally just standing on the bleachers, like stacked up behind each other with a mic hanging over them. Something about that was like funny to me, like just thinking about like, I don't know, like Lionel Richie, like just standing on a bleacher singing was like funny. But almost immediately tensions were starting to rise. There were artists who were frustrated because certain parts of the song were out of their range. There's like huge production lights blaring down on them, so it's getting super hot. There's cords everywhere. The crew is making background noise, and you're shooting two things at once. So I'm sure they were also tired, like you mentioned earlier. It was 9 p.m. So they're already on edge, and then to make matters worse, Stevie Wonder comes out of nowhere and goes, I think we need to include some Swahili. Even though the song had already been written, the demo had been recorded, he thought it would be a good idea to put some Swahili in there.
He could have let him know prior.
Right. And also, he was asked to collaborate on the song and then didn't reach back out for 3 weeks. So that's why the Swahili was not included up front. But it just feels like the person that pops in at the end of a meeting that could have been an email and starts asking a million questions, or like, this happens to me all the time at work when I'm almost at the end of the project and then somehow it gets sent to somebody who's much higher up in the company, and suddenly we have to make all these changes and it's due in 1 hour. Like, that's just a classic situation. But like everyone was like, not the time, my guy. Like we can do that at a different date. And then also Bob Geldof popped in and said they don't speak Swahili in Ethiopia, so we don't need to be doing that. So they move on. They finally finish the chorus around 2 a.m. So it took them probably from like 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. on the bleachers to just record the chorus.
Nope.
At 2:30 a.m., there was a photo shoot in the studio for Life magazine to document the event. And after that, they took a break. They ordered food. And thank God, I was actually wondering that. Like, I would be hungry.
Be the worst person to be around at this moment. You would not want to be within 5 feet of me, because you would come up to me and it would be bad. 2:30 in the morning, never speak to me at that time. Never.
And you're like singing.
And you're singing, you're hoping you're sounding good in front of these extremely famous artists. Like, even though you're an extremely famous artist yourself, like, you're comparing yourself to all of these other famous artists that are around you. You're trying to sound good, you're trying to get a solo, you're trying to finish the dang song and go to bed. Because that's the most important thing here, is going to bed. Like, why can't we just go to bed?
Right. Could we not have done this? Could we not have gotten an early start? Maybe like a 6 a.m. call time?
But yeah, I would have been the worst version of myself in this moment. It would not have been a good time. No, but I would have been, like, they would have ripped me a new one. Because I would have been so mean.
You would have ripped them a new one.
Well, but then, like, they would have, like, gone to the media about me. And it wouldn't have been good.
You were, like, Prince in this scenario.
But at least in this scenario, I showed up. So
I actually do think that they had a few artists like walk out. Like they were just getting frustrated by the process. Nobody that I was familiar with, like I can't even really remember who it was. But as they're taking this break, Diana Ross walks up to Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates, right? I think.
Yeah.
And
maybe.
tells him that she's his biggest fan and asks him to sign her sheet music. And suddenly they're like all walking around and asking each other for their autographs.
I think that's really sweet. I feel like they're always getting asked for like their specific autographs, so like they get a chance to ask for autographs from people they like. I think that's cute.
I know. It was like becoming like a memento for the night. And I have to say, like, I'm not like super familiar with Diana Ross, but of everything that I watched and read, she seemed like the most kind, humble person. So I would love for someone to confirm whether or not that's true. Also, during the break, Lionel Richie got a call from Prince, who said that he wanted to come in and record a guitar solo in a separate room.
This is just not the Prince I know. Okay? The Prince that went on to New Girl.
You don't say. 40 years later.
He literally asked to go on because he was such a big fan.
Wait, that's actually so cute. I didn't know that. It's been so long since I've seen that show, I don't even remember him being on it.
That's embarrassing.
I just looked up a picture. That's so cute. He's such a diva. Anywho, he calls and says that he wants to come in and record a guitar solo in a separate room. And Lionel Richie says no. Everyone is doing this in the same room. Nobody's getting special treatment, because if you give one person special treatment, you have to give everyone special treatment. And he never showed up.
Dang. That sucks.
I know. Prince is also my mom's like favorite artist. Like I remember when he died and my mom was really upset about it. So I don't know if she's gonna be, she probably knew he was a diva though. But maybe she'll be like you and she's like, this isn't the Prince I know. We'll see. But yeah, so he never showed up. And then this made me kind of sad. His drummer, Sheila E., who I mentioned earlier that they were like in a relationship, they were trying to get her to talk him into coming. She says that she started to realize that they only asked her in hopes that she would be able to get Prince to show up. And so after they recorded the chorus, she decided to leave because she was feeling used. She also said that she knew Prince wouldn't show up because it was too many people.
I hate that she left. Well, I hate that they like used her like that.
I know. I mean, honestly, like they probably were hoping that she would persuade him, but she was performing at the AMAs last night. Like I think even if she hadn't have been attached to him in that way, then they probably still would have asked her. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like, it's ego, you know? So they take their little break. Prince says he's not coming. And then before they moved on to doing their verses and their solos, Stevie Wonder brought in 2 women from Ethiopia to share their stories about the famine that was overtaking their country. And then at 3 a.m., they finally started the solo parts. They had accounted for Prince showing up and being one of the soloists, but now he's not coming. So they subbed in Huey Lewis, who I just love saying his name. It has a nice ring to it. He said that he was really nervous to fill in for Prince, which I would have been too.
Yeah, 100%.
There were questions about why certain people had what part, and they basically just said, like, it's just what fits everyone's ranges. Like, there's nothing personal about it. They literally wrote pieces of their names on pieces of tape on the floor and lined everyone up in a little circle. So they were like, it was like a little, like, singing circle. And the other thing I'll say is, like, yes, there were some artists who had bigger solos or who did, like, ad-libs and stuff, but everybody was singing. On it just might have been like your part might have been shorter, or maybe you're singing at the same time as somebody else, but they're not recording this like one verse, stop recording, re-record, another verse, re-record, whatever. It's like literally one fell swoop. So every time somebody messed up, they had to start over, and because of this,
no.
I mean, it's 3 a.m.
Okay.
This is like stressing you out. The timeline of this is literally stressing you out.
I'm so stressed because here's the thing. They were probably up all day yesterday getting ready for the AMAs to now come and do this right after.
Right.
I would not be.
I mean, one would likely be able to push through, but you never know what people are going through, right? So they're like recording this all in, trying to get it all in one take, and because of this, the people who were at the end had been waiting around forever for everyone else to record, and they like weren't rehearsing. So one of them finally asked if they can just keep going even if someone messes up, so that they can at least like rehearse their lines. And I'm sure also, like, I don't really know how all this works, but I'm sure that their voices were like, you know, that how they have to warm up.
Yeah.
I'm sure that their voices were like getting unwarmed.
I'm sure.
However you would say that. They also had some technical issues with the mics and had to even ask Cyndi Lauper to take off all of her jewelry because she was wearing so much that the mic was picking up the noise when she was singing her part. It was like, they were like, we're hearing a rattle in your mic. Like, what is that rattle? And it took them like, I mean, it didn't give me a timestamp, but I feel like it took them longer than it should have to realize that it was because she had like every single piece of jewelry that she ever owned on with her outfit. It took them about half a dozen takes to get the solos by about 5:30 in the morning.
No.
And then they had to do the ad-libs. So the two artists doing the ad-libs were Bob Dylan and Bruce Springsteen, and Bob Dylan was like having a little bit of a moment, and he was struggling with, I just think, honestly, the stage fright, which is interesting, but he just was like overwhelmed by the amount of people, so they made everyone leave the room because he said that he was not used to having that many people around while recording. And then Bruce Springsteen finally is recording his ad-libs around 7 a.m. and his voice is like on its last leg because he had just finished the Born in the USA tour.
Wait, how come Bob Dylan gets to be by himself-y, but Prince couldn't?
Well, he was still like in the same studio. They just had everyone step out because I guess they were technically done. Like, they had already recorded all the group parts.
Okay.
They just needed, yeah. He was like trying, but it was obvious that he was like having a moment. It was like he forgot how to sing. Like, there was clips of
he's probably just really nervous.
It was like clips of Stevie Wonder playing the piano and like singing in Bob Dylan's voice to like demonstrate to him how they wanted him to do it, which was, I was like, I just feel like he's having a freak out. But once Bruce finally wraps up his ad-libs, they're done, and they left about 8 a.m. and it was fully light out by the time they left.
Absolutely not.
A few days later, Quincy Jones and the sound engineer spent 7 days putting the actual song together, and they actually did bring in a few singers like Ray Charles, James Ingram, and Stevie Wonder back in to record some extra ad-libs and pull it all together. So that was nice that they were able to do that. 3 months later, on April 5th, 1985, on Good Friday, literally all over the world, I mean that, internationally, the song We Are the World made its debut on 8,000 radio stations across Earth. It sold 1 million copies in its first weekend and was the fastest selling single in US history. It has raised over $80 million and still continues to raise money all the way into 2025. And I thought, I wanted to put this in here because 10% was also set aside to be put towards poverty in America, which I really liked because it's great that what they were doing, but like we also have a lot of poverty in this country, so I was happy to hear that. It won Song of the Year at the 1986 Grammys and won a special award at the AMAs the next year. And Time magazine said that it was the smash of the decade. They also called out that the concept was extremely unique in that it was musicians from, quote, rival factions of the business that are putting aside their differences in style and temperament and coming together to share and spread a little decency. After its debut, several other groups of artists from other countries also got together to record singles for the cause. The goal with this song was to give longevity to solving the hunger crisis, not just solve it for a short period of time. And by the end of it, the final production had enlisted over the participation of over 40 artists. And this year was actually the 40th anniversary of the song's release.
Cute.
Yeah, that is the story behind how this came together. And this is a little bit of a different one, but I thought it was kind of interesting.
No, I liked it. I mean, what a crazy night. Like I said, my worst nightmare would be to stay up all night like that and have to be around like my idols and then have to like act right, you know, and not act tired. That would be rough for me. Act awake,
I know.
I guess you could say.
But yeah, I guess this being the 40th anniversary is probably why they released that documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it is called The Greatest Night in Pop. It's really good. It goes into like a lot of detail and a lot of behind the scenes. Again, it's like Lionel Richie's first person take, and I definitely did not even like scratch the surface of everything that he talked about, but I had fun researching this one. And it's honestly, maybe this is embarrassing for me, but I think some of the artists that they included, like obviously I had heard of most of them, but I didn't realize that they were of the same era.
Yeah, I always get confused by like eras of famous people as well.
Yeah, like it wouldn't connect to me that like Kenny Rogers and Michael Jackson are of the same era just because their music is so different. And Kenny Rogers, for some reason, to me just feels quite a bit older. Maybe he is, but yeah. Did you learn anything new?
Yeah, I learned that I have to go listen to this song.
It's really long.
My confession is I've never heard of this song before in my entire life.
I hadn't either until I mean, it would make sense. We were not alive in 1985, so there's that. But I was listening to it after I wrote the whole thing.
I'm actually really fucking with it. I'll listen to it all later.
Yeah, you'll have to listen to it on the weekend.
The cover of the song is really, it's all of them together.
Aww.
I'm assuming.
Yeah, it really was like quite an interesting idea, in my opinion. Well, I think this is where we'll end it. I hope everyone learned something new because I did. I learned that I would probably be a lot more interested in like movies about artists than I thought. Like I should go back and watch them. It's just interesting because it's not like, you know, it's not a documentary where it's like it's and of course it's dramatized, but yeah, probably the Queen one is like the best one. We will be back on Tuesday with another reality digest. Sing it. You've been inspired by this episode.
I guess I have. I want to put me in the studio, but at a daytime.
Yeah, get this girl in the studio before 9 p.m. Okay, everyone, thanks for listening, and follow us on Instagram, Pop Cult Podcast.
Pop Cult Podcast with dots in between, not periods.
Dots in between. You heard it here first. Bye!
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week for more pop culture chaos.
The stories we cover are based on research and publicly available sources. While we strive for accuracy, some details may be disputed or unverified, and this episode is for entertainment and informational purposes only.